Welcome, one and all. It's another time to spend with your dads here at 100 Talk for all fans of 100 Thieves LCS.
Oh, yeah.
Look at all the facial expressions that Kool-Aid Man is making over there.
Wow. Snap, crackle, pop it, Cole.
We're powered by Rip It. That's right. You got the lime wrecker. I got the active Mandarin Live Wild Lime, a.k.a. Tribute OG flavor.
I need to not stay up late tonight, so I'm going to drink water. But
But you're going to channel the energy from...
Yeah. It's a testament to the power of this drink, Cole. I won't crack one if I'm not hoping to stay up for a little bit.
Oh, man. Nice sip. Of course, we're powered by Rip It, so shout out to Rip It. We're also powered by love for 100 Thieves. And we're going to need to dig deep and pull out all of that energy, all of those emotions as we roll into the much anticipated Summer 2021 playoffs. 100T fans everywhere. If you asked 100T fans 6 weeks ago about this day, they were salivating.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're like a little nervous. Maybe a little nervous, but we're here for you. We're here to talk it all out with you guys this week. As we took a week of a break for the team to kind of just get some extra scrims in, some extra preparation, maybe some extra sessions in the hyperbolic chamber with Master Hiroshi.
Mm-hmm.
Get the mental right.
Yep.
And we'll be talking about that too. So here's kind of the agenda for tonight. I think it's going to be a quicker show than usual, but we'll see. Whenever I say that, I end up being wrong. We'll talk what we saw from EG this past weekend for a tiny bit. Then we're going to talk about how we think 100 Thieves is going to match up, what we expect to happen, how we see the series playing out, and then we'll make our predictions on the final tally there. After we do that, we'll talk some things about, Worlds, what our path to Worlds is. We'll mention the all LCS results, maybe dive into that a little bit, and then go to listener takes as we always do. Should be
can always count.
A good night. It's going to be like a lean night, but a good lean night.
Exactly. Good lean. Sounds like a weird.
Well, it's like I mean like good lean as in like maybe you got the 90-10 ground beef and not the ground turkey, right? Yeah, ground turkey isn't going to cut it. We know that it's lean, but it's like, you can make do with the 90-10 ground beef. It's lean, but it's still ground beef. You know what I'm saying?
So this is the 90-10 ground beef show. Welcome.
And if you add 90 and 10, you get 100 Thieves. Here we are. It's all connected.
90 and 10 talk, Cole.
90-10 talk. Leanest takes. Actually, I don't think I'd want to advertise lean takes.
Stop on by for the leanest takes you've ever seen.
Let's reverse that. Wipe that from memory.
Yep.
Start again. By the way, so just as a general reminder, we don't typically read a lot of chat or do channel point redemptions while we do this show. So we will get. I saw a couple of those come through. We'll get to those in our next stream. But we do love you all dearly. But yeah, so let's have the tough conversation. Jordan,
let's do it.
You and I both watched the EG and Dignitas series. What were you expecting going in? What was your guess before you saw the games? How that would play out?
Well, funny enough, Cole, I predicted a 3-1. Evil geniuses. I'm kidding. I didn't make a prediction because I didn't have to. No one made me. I was not required to do that anywhere. But this is approximately what I thought would happen, right? I feel like generally I was very confident that EG would win, and they did. And I won't take credit for you've mentioned something which I agree with after you said it. But I just went into this expecting that EG wins. They're hot. They're a hot team right now, and I think they're just over across the board a stronger team. The Dignitas, it played out how I thought it would.
Yeah, it actually pretty down the line played out the exact way I thought it would in this series. Yep. I wanted to talk about how the games went down because I think that might factor into when we talk about 100 Thieves matching up against EG. I mean, look, guys, one of the things that's difficult is that we're all feeling like our confidence in the team has been shaken a little bit over the last 3 weeks of the split, basically, right? And the thing we have to remember though is like we came down from being an untouchable in the LCS. We didn't come down from being like third place in the LCS. And that's the difference between this split and other splits. And so I think that everybody's feeling a little lower on the team right now, but you have to contextualize that. It's like, yeah, we haven't lived up to what we wanted to be, but the standard got so high. So when you're talking about like how can we compare 100 Thieves to EG after this series that we just saw about Dignitas? I mean, I think that series would have gone almost the same way with 100 Thieves too. Reading back into it, game 1, just a down the line EG smash, right? Nothing fancy about it, nothing surprising that I can recall. Just like a pretty hard, quick smash of a game. Cool.
Yep.
Feel like I expected that. Game 2, a little bit different. Things got interesting in this series. Dignitas has come to play. Look, Dignitas had a great early game in game 2, and they just absolutely fumbled it, right?
Yeah.
And Evil Geniuses were feeling very generous, and they gave him another try. They fumbled it right back over to him. So Dignitas said, all right, we're not going to make the same mistake twice. And then they did. And they fumbled it again. But EG,
naturally,
like a patient parent, gave the children another chance. You can't win them all, or else they won't play with you, right?
That's right. Yeah. You got to convince people that you are beatable, Cole. You got to convince them that you.
Yes.
Maybe you don't got to worry so much. They lost a game to Dig. Who knows? They're a high variance team, right? All these things.
Yeah. So, but in honesty, like sloppy, right? Mm-hmm. Sloppy by both teams. Dignitas, great early game, great strategy in that game, but they're a middle of the pack team, a slightly less than middle, right? And as you'd expect, they fumbled on the execution. EG, I don't know if you can call it uncharacteristically, right? But EG gave them a couple chances to get back in the game, and they took them. You know what I mean? So, that game ended up going in Dignitas's favor. And if you like at the throw points, it was like Dignitas let EG catch up. It wasn't like EG surged way ahead. It's basically like, all right, now we're neutral. Now we're ahead again. Now we're neutral, that kind of thing. So sloppy, both teams, especially EG. All right. Game 3, things started getting a little drafty in here, if you know what I mean, Jordan. Okay. Get your jackets. It's gotten a little drafty. We had Kennen going against the Gnar in top lane, which ended up not being a contest that Fake God was up for playing.
No. Was this before or after they showed their player history?
I can't remember,
card?
but that was so disrespectful. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it because I like Fake God. But it ruined the whole game for Fake God, right? The Kennen pick and the early pressure, it just did not. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The game was basically lost there. And then to make things worse, they pulled out the Kindred mid pocket pick for Hisui.
They blew that one. Oh, they wasted it.
All right, and I have to confess something right now. This confession will surprise few, I think, but I just gotta get it out there. So I like the Dignitas guys, especially because a lot of them came from 100T, right? And there's just like they've always just seemed kind of likable, like this version of them, right? Mm-hmm. Except for freaking Hisui. What is it about him, man? Do you get the same vibe? Like, am I tripping?
I don't feel like I know him enough to say definitively that I do or don't like him. Maybe it's because he's replaced Saligo and you have a warm place.
Maybe that's true. Maybe he came up through Cloud9. I don't know. Just attitude wise, I feel like he's always been a little I don't know. Like, and I mean, when I say that, by the way, I mean how he plays. I don't really know like any off the riff stuff. Like, I don't know that, but I just had this feeling about him, right? I'm like, oh, Yusui, man, I just don't like him, right? And Yusui was doing Yusui things in this, right? And like all series, really, where it's like he gets you to start believing he's good, and he's like, all right, he's got this, and he's like, he's annoying, you got to worry about him, you know. But then he would make some dumb mistake, you know, and so. Anyway,
he did go 10-2-6 on the Aurelia in the game they won.
Yeah, sure, cool, good for him.
That's
what I'm saying. He does enough to convince you that it's worth paying attention to him, and then when you pay attention, it ain't good. The Kindred mid, not sold on that one. Neither were the casters. But yeah, so kind of like a drafted loss in that one, turned into an EG slam. With very little Dignitas highlights, though there were a couple. They tried. At least you tried. And then game 4, the final game, the Draven pick comes out, which is basically like, all right, here's the last ditch effort.
Right. We're gonna need him to win the game for us.
Yeah, this is the only thing we can do. Hilariously, Fake God gets the solo kill on Impact during that game when it's like all about the Draven. The Draven doesn't go well, and Ignar does his best Huhi impression on set. It's a pretty good impression. It's not quite as good as the genuine article, but it's a pretty good impression. And the set play, was just very disruptive.
He had a less support stat line than Danny on Tristana.
Yeah, Danny was like 2-something and 13, right? And then what was
2-1 and 16?
Oh, 2-1 and 16.
4-1 and 12. So
yeah, right. So who's the real carry, Danny boy?
Some damage on that champion, Cole. Some damage on that set, boy. I'll tell you what.
Who knew? So contextualizing this like as the whole for the series, right? EG smash, sloppy game out of both teams. Anemic Jizuke shows up in game 2, right? And then you have a draft loss. And then the death throws where Ignar pops off. Okay.
Yep.
It's like this is what EG does. So when I'm looking at their form right now, we could use this to transition into talking about the upcoming thing. I feel like, man, teams just get hot and kind of get lucky for a while. It happened to us, and then you start cooling off. And I feel like EG, like when I watch them, I don't feel like I'm watching the LCS favorite.
Right.
And when I was watching like week 300 Thieves, I felt like I was watching not only the LCS favorite, but this team doesn't look like it's from this region. That's how good they were, right?
Yeah. The 9th best team in the world.
Yeah. Or 8th. Was it 8th? I don't remember.
Maybe.
Anyway. So I don't get that feeling about EG, especially after seeing this last series.
Yeah.
Where are you coming down on this?
Yeah, I mean, they don't feel it's been an interesting kind of like final third of the split because there have been so many surging teams. I feel like EG for a while, it's almost like EG was surging before the other teams started surging, and now you've got TL in what seems to be good form, TSM finished strong, beat us. But I agree with you. It feels like EG is still like their ceiling doesn't seem to be keeping pace with these other teams who are now, I would say, probably the odds-on title favorites at least.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it is. I think I'm with you. Like, there still seems to be weaknesses to their game. There still seem to be some of the issues that people have always thought of EG being there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting first go around for the playoffs to have them playing Dig, because Dig is a team that I don't think you would expect to punish a lot of the things that a better team than EG would look to punish, right?
Yeah.
So that's what will be the thing that I'm, well, specifically now for us, like, are we able to do that? Are we able to punish those things? And, potentially hand back fewer of the advantages that EG might give us.
Yeah. I think, like, if you're speaking for most fans, from what I've seen, fans of 100 Thieves, There seems to be like this fear of EG.
Mm-hmm.
And
They're the new hot team, the new hotness.
And they really haven't been that, it hasn't been that new, right? Because, their streak dates back to June 26th is when they started winning. So since June 26th, including this last series, they've only lost 4 games.
They replaced us as the hot team.
And I don't know. It's like, I just am not seeing it, I guess is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And I'm not disputing their results. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not disputing the results, but I don't. And this is not a comment on where we are in relation to them either.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, they don't look like a title team to me at this moment. So to me, when I'm doing the tally of like, all right, how is this going to go this weekend? That is actually a point in our favor, I feel like, because I don't think they're really crisp right now.
Right.
So that gives me, a more reason to hope for how this weekend goes. So going through, like, I wanted to talk about the matchups and the lane stuff, and just see how we think that those things are going to go. So top lane, you want to just go top to bottom on the map?
Yeah.
Okay. Top lane. Jordan, how do you even begin to talk about Impact right now?
He's good. That's how I start. He's good at League of Legends. He got second team, Fudge with his standout performance from this weekend, understandably gets first. I would say for me, I think Impact is just the perennial playoff player. Like, we joked about that graphic they showed. He's got a ton of experience. He finds another gear in the playoffs. He seems to be at his best when the stakes are high. He is able to do a lot of things. I think in some ways he reminds me of Someday, in that he can take over a game. He doesn't need to. And he is also able to salvage from horrible games dominant performances. And I feel like that has been his calling card in some of the biggest games of this split. And I would say, obviously I'm not the historian here. I can't give you back his like LCK career. But for me, that's always what I've thought of when I think of Impact. So that's how I'd start. Do you want me to keep going with the comparison piece?
If you've got more, sure.
The thing I'm a little concerned about is I think that the playbook for Someday and Fate God is not entirely dissimilar.
I knew you were going to say this.
Yeah. And we have seen teams do some of the things that were done to Fate God to good effect against Someday. Like, I think those are some of the things that have resulted in him having games that are not the games we've thought of Someday having during his entire time with 100T. So I think it worked well for them. And it gave them a game, basically. And in a best of 5 series, that's a huge, huge deal.
Yeah,
I fully expect that they're going to bring at least one strategy that is to win through top. And we'll have to see what that looks like. But let's remember, Fate Gods played a few champions recently. And I think that one of the downsides of doing that is it makes it that much easier to prepare a few counter picks. And, Impact he's going to be ready to play any one of them. So that's a concern.
Yeah. I just feel like I feel like this split for him has been kind of like a correction, I guess. I mean, he did pretty well in spring, if I'm remembering right too. But yeah, he's been effective. I think that Someday on the right champs is good. Like, he'll be fine. Impact doesn't, this is all like the constant talking point with him is like, oh yeah, like he doesn't do the takeover thing very often, right? And I think that's still mostly true. I know that's like a repeated thing that like, oh, but he has this game and this game. I still just buy into that largely. So Someday on the right champs, which is maybe 2 or 3, he's going to be fine. But like you're saying, prepping for that, knowing what's going to happen. I mean, let me look at this really quick if I can. I'll look at Sunday's champ history.
And while you're pulling that up, let me just add for the record, I don't think that Someday and Fake Out are the same player.
No.
But I do think that there have been the same vulnerabilities for both of them.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be harder to pull it off against Someday. Like, I want to be clear on that. But I think that the approach could be the same.
Yeah. So it's like Gwen and Gnar and Renekton largely is what we've seen. A couple of Ornn games mixed in there, right? Mm-hmm. I've talked about his Gwen. Where I come down on that is he misses the ults a lot. And other than that, it's pretty solid. Like, we've seen him carry on Gwen a couple of times. I feel fine with him on Gwen. Gnar is kind of a coin flip, feels like. And Ornn, I think, is pretty good, even though I think we lost both. Did we lose both? No, we only lost one with him on Ornn. Yeah, we won with him against Team Liquid.
The 5-death.
Yeah.
Ornn, sacrificial Ornn game.
I still, I feel fine with him on Ornn. So, but if it's not one of those three, it's like,
I know. And I think that is, against a player like Impact, again, to reiterate, like, I have confidence that he can play, like he showed a Kennen that with great effect.
Yeah, we do have to account for the Kennen. But both of those guys, in all honesty, it probably depends a lot on the junglers too. So and we can talk about that. I guess that's a segue into the next thing in the map, because I think I've been a little wrong in the final tally when we're talking about Closer, because I think he has been probably our biggest carry indicator, right? It's like, so FBI, always good, rarely has a bad game, like always like smashing in lane. He's going to do well. He's going to be a threat, and sometimes he absolutely pops off, but it feels like Closer is more of the barometer carry, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, if Closer's doing well, we're doing well. And I did not feel that way earlier on in the split, even though I thought he was playing well. Yeah. I didn't feel that was necessarily true, but I feel like I have to call myself out on that. So carry as like our Closer barometer, or our Closer as our carry barometer. Sorry guys, it's been a long week. That's the thing. Okay. And I'm not sure the jungle position is that when it comes to EG.
Meaning you're not as, I guess, you don't have as much confidence in contracts, or you think that they have more flexibility to carry through other places?
I think the carry usually is going to come from somewhere else. Now, contracts, a little bit of a wild card there, because he has his pop-off games, you know what I mean? But he's kind of coin flippy, like more so than Closer is. He's more similar to Jizuke probably, where it's coin flippy, and when it's good, it's really good.
Yeah. He had a good series for sure. This is the most concentrated we've seen of contracts.
Yeah.
In the LCS ever, I'd say. I mean, aside from when he was playing with us. But every other time this split, it was onesie twosies. You didn't know if he's going to be there. Like, this was a lot of contracts in this series.
Yeah. And that begs the question, are we going to see Svenskeren or not?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the
contracts has like kind of an inside track on us, right? So it makes sense to have him in the mix.
Yeah. But I do agree with you. I think if they play contracts, he reminds me of when we got Closer, we talked about this because Closer replaced contracts. Right. And it felt to me like that was an upgrade, and I feel like that has played out. So if this is the matchup, I'm feeling okay about that. And I think, Svenskeren's a different question, but for this one, it feels a little bit like he's got a pretty similar champ pool. He likes to do similar things. And I think we've seen that Closer has shown he can really deliver on that stuff in a way that gets him a lot of notice, second team notice.
Yeah. Um, and maybe it's hard to say since contracts, like you said, didn't get enough volume, in there. But yeah, in champ pool wise, I almost feel like the meta for junglers was basically the set by closer for like the whole split too.
Yeah.
So that's a positive, I think, in our corner there. So when it comes to that matchup, it's like, look, if closer can consistently play the way we know he can, I feel like that's actually a check on our side, right? Like,
yeah, agreed.
So it would be, sounds like you and I kind of agree that it's check on impact side for top lane.
Yep.
And then jungle, we'd have the edge. Maybe they can, it just seems like the synergy with top is just, again, not what we want it to be at this point, right? And so I want to be like, well, like closer someday find that rhythm and they like make some plays up top, but the plays that come from up top more often than not are like 1v2 under turret. So
yeah.
So I'm just not sure I can expect that, which brings us to mid lane, right? Jizuke and Abadaga. I'll say my thing again, which I've brought up the past few weeks, where it's like it just feels like we're not getting what we should out of Abadaga. Not sure if his fault, not sure if our fault, but I believe in his skill level. I believe him being a top 2 mid in NA. But we just haven't seen him in action that much.
Yep.
So question mark for me there. And if I'm honing in on like one thing that's going to be like our playoff run X factor, that's it for me.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like we know what we're getting everywhere else. But with Abadaga, it's like if we get him at his best, like we're going to be doing very well. But I don't know if we're getting him at his best. Like what do we do with this?
Well, yeah, and let me expand on that a little bit because I have similar feeling. I think this is going to be kind of a pivotal point in the matchup for sure. Abba and Jizuke. Here's my thought on it. I feel like the thing that is unclear to me about Abadaga is whether he is able to. It's almost like whether we're able to get the most out of him. I don't feel like he's the kind of I don't feel like he's coin flippy. I feel like he either is in a position to play a great game, or he is less of has less of an impact in the game than
he's just not in the game plan.
Exactly, he's not in the game plan. And I think with Jizuke, it's like you could run the same plan every game, and you're probably like if you're hot, it's 66-33, or maybe even more. Maybe it's 80-20, right? And kind of like we saw with Dig, where every once in a while going to get a game where it's like, well, didn't work. Right now, and I feel like that's kind of so it's like, well, you're going to get the Jizuke game, it's going to dip down. I feel like with Abadaga right now, we have these stretches where it's like this dude is a carry threat, and watch out. And I think they came earlier in the split, and over time, he's just kind of become. It's like there's been a more of a moderating factor on his overall impact on games, which leads me to think that it's probably just that we haven't yet figured out how to really get the most out of him. Because I think from a skill standpoint,
or forgot how to when the meta shifted.
Yeah, like I would put it more on the like strategic level approach than the individual. Like I think with Jizuke, it's more individual level. And I think with Abadaga, it's more strategic level. We just haven't quite nailed it yet on how we need to play the game with him to really give him the chance to deliver in these situations. I could be wrong. But we've seen him do such good things that I still have a lot of confidence. And here's the other thing. It's super early. It's still super early. And I think it's important that we not forget that. This is not like year 3 of the plan where we've had a ton of time to get set in our approach and how we play as a team and what our, like guiding principles are. Like we're less than a full split in.
Yep.
So
mid-year change.
I'm not saying that we need to like if Abba can't beat Jizuke, then you got to look for a roster swap.
Yeah,
I
no.
think it might just be that Jizuke on his best games certainly can carry. And we have not yet figured out how to get Abadaga reliably and consistently doing that. And I think that's the summary for me of that matchup.
Yeah. I was hoping that there's someone in chat who might have an update on this, but if you recall the crackdown, I think a couple weeks ago, I think it was before we played the EG game in the last week of the split, Abadaga was on the crackdown, and there was like a segment where they kind of baited him into talking about Jizuke, and for the clips and for the clickbait and all that stuff. But he did it, right? And it seems like there's something there between the two of them. Yeah, so
dodged.
Here we go. There's a Travis interview apparently where Jizuke answered. But, so there's been a back and forth between them where I think it's like, rivalry that has crossed into a little bit of the personal side.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually like not good on our side. I feel like if I'm Jizuke and I'm that kind of player, I'm like, all right, yeah, do this. Like talk your mess, like get, I want him to do that for Jizuke's personality, where he's going to be like all in, hyper aggressive, and it'll either work or it doesn't, with Abadaga not being that kind of player, it's like, I think, what he said on the crackdown is he's going to just turn off all chat or something like that, or just mute Jizuke right away. Yeah. And that's got to happen for him. It's like the opposite, right? Like Jizuke, pop off, go do your thing if you want good performance out of Jizuke. If you want good performance out of Ab, it's like focus, center, all that thing. But I do like having a little dog in my guy, right?
Yeah.
And so I am encouraged by the fact that like he kind of takes that
He's confident
a little personally. He's like, nah, man, like I'm better. Yeah. So that is going to be a huge question mark. And like I said, what are the X factors of the playoff run? Will he answer that call, or will we just see him not fully integrated into what we're doing? I really don't know, man. Yeah. I have high hopes for Abadaga, as I've said many times, and you were just alluding to. This dude, he is like, in my mind, he's like, he is our mid laner as long as we can have him. As long as we can keep him, I want him.
Yeah.
And so, I want this to revolve around him more than it is right now. And it'll be tricky. You mentioned the coin flippiness of Jizuke. Everybody, that's also the standard line about Jizuke. But it's true. He's going to choke away a game. He might choke away two. All right. And then in the other games, he'll be a force. So with that given, I'm sure that the team has prepared for that. So when you're doing the math between these two guys, I don't know where to come down, because it's like not the not full integration of Abadaga on one side, like taking us down from that 100% credit. And then the coin flippiness of Jizuke taking him down from the 100% credit. And I don't know where the final tally is. So for me, mid lane is a question mark.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, even trying to guess how it's going to go is just a guess. Like, it's easy to say, we've seen Abadaga perform at a high level before, like the highest level in the LCS. For a while there were no challengers to him. And so the optimist says, sure, you can get back to that. We're not firing. The last time we saw us performing on stage, we weren't firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And so I think that has to be taken into consideration too.
Well, unless you want to focus tightly into the last time we were on stage against Golden Guardians, where we did look good. Right. But again, that was Golden Guardians. That was one game. That was after we got curb stomped by TSM. Yeah.
Recent sample size would say, if the sample size is recent, like the last few weeks, then it's not just like, there's not just that one thing where it's like, well, if we can get Abadaga back on track, then we're totally fine. So there's a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah. So that, that's difficult for me. Really not sure what to make of what's going to happen in mid lane. I know, like I said, I know Jizuke is going to have a game or two where he fumbles it, and it's just, are we going to be in position to capitalize? Going down to bot lane. Okay, Danny, he's looking good. Cool. It's FBI, man. It's freaking FBI.
Yeah.
Zero worries. And there's going to be one game at least. Now I'm just going to say one game. There's going to be one game where Danny gets a pop-off score line. And it's not going to prove a thing. All right? FBI is FBI. You're not touching it. I have ultimate faith in this. All right? And Danny, like shout out to him. He's young. He's looked great. I think was he second? Was he the second all LCS?
Yep.
All right. Big shout outs to him, man. So this is no disrespect towards him, but you're in there with MJ. So I just can't see it in bot lane. I don't think you have anything different to say there, right?
I will add. There's no doubt in my mind that at its best, our bot lane is better. I don't know if they're at their best. And that is the thing that I'm concerned about. So let me just remind you, the last time we played EG with our main squad, I believe this was the last time, we played Kog'Maw and Lulu. And that was probably the worst game that our bot lane had all split.
Doesn't mean a thing.
I know you say it doesn't mean a thing. Ignar is good. Ignar is good. And he was on Thresh and he looked good. And they had early aggression and they got the Aphelios going, and Danny had a game for himself, 10-2-5. So is it out of the realm of possibilities that their bot lane brings a game like that against our bot lane? No, because it's happened before. It happened the last time we played them. In fact, it's not even like you have to go that far back. So yeah, I think our bot lane is better, but our bot lane is not untouchable, and they figured it out. Cole, they drew blood from the god at the end of 300. That's a spoiler alert. I'm sorry. If I don't know what the statute of spoilers is on that. Probably passed.
It's passed.
So anyway, that's my thing, and I think they did it in a way that other teams started to do, which was you just go all at them, get in their face, right?
Bro.
And
this is so easy. All right, ignore Thresh. Just ban it. Take it or ban it, and it's different. There's a Thresh Aphelios lane.
He's very good.
Into weirdo Kog'Maw Lulu lane that we'd never done.
I don't know, man.
I don't care, man. I don't care. This to me is just nah. There's no mitigating factor here. There's going to be one game where it plays out that way. So like, oh wow, look at Danny, and maybe it'll be the game one. But I also I believe in the experience thing too. And it's like, how many LCS best of fives has this dude been in?
One, probably one, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. No, was he even in last split? I think he subbed in for this split, right?
Yeah,
I can't remember. So, but FBI's got this. And then Huhi versus Ignar. That one's reasonably close, and it's champ dependent for me. Like I said, for us to let Ignar get Thresh would be catastrophic, in my opinion. His Rakan is really sick too, though. Yeah. I'm not sure that pick is like a ban-worthy pick, But I think his Rakan and his Thresh are going to be catastrophic for us if they are played.
Yeah,
and his set did look very good this past weekend.
Yeah,
but
cool.
if Huhi just swoops in,
here.
if Huhi swoops in and takes that, it's all good. Huhi played super well. I think Huhi got this is a preview of later. I think Huhi got a little bit shafted, not getting first team all LCS. I know core is core, but just totality of the split, I don't think it was really deserved.
I agree.
But it was super close. It was 6 points of difference, I think. I don't know. But I'm riding with Huhi, man. I'm riding with Huhi. It'll be champ dependent for me.
Yeah, I think they have similar play styles. I think Ignar tends to have a bit more of an aggressive mindset, which, at their best is great, and at their worst can be a liability. So I view Huhimura as the kind of steady Eddie, reliable, like, playmaker, and I think Ignar is there to kind of blow things up, which he does really well on Thresh and Set. So I agree with you. I think it's going to depend a lot on who he's on, who Ignar's on, and who he's on too. To see, it'll be a little bit interesting draft battle, because they're both great. Like, both of these support players are great. So it's not like you have one who can only play a certain thing. You need to get, like, first pick it. So yeah, we'll see how far a team is willing to let their draft pick fall for support.
Yeah. Yeah. Just don't draft loss us with Ignar is all I want. The one way we can truly blow it this weekend is that, in my opinion. That's like the cardinal sin for me.
Yeah. Like, I honestly, I think that, like, you give him a Thresh and that could be a game.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's that.
I'm not worried about anyone else on any other picks. Maybe Jizuke Lucian's in that category too, but
yeah,
I don't really think so. Danny Ezreal's pretty good.
And how about Impact Gwen?
Nah, someday's gonna be playing it. So that's like lane by lane. Well, where do we even come down? Like, how do we, what's the check mark there? Like, who gets the check mark?
So,
because right now we are top them, jungle us, mid question mark.
Yeah.
Bot us.
I mean, I say ADC us, support question mark. So yeah, I'd say it leans us. It leans us by a close margin. I do.
Yeah. Well, that's not popular sentiment right now. So we got some splaining to do, don't we? Are there any things in what EG does for you that you think indicate some sort of like strats that we should have or not have, or things that we should be looking for, or things we can plan for? Are there any general observations there? I've got one if you want me to start.
I mean, I don't have a super in-depth one, so I'll start. Yeah. I honestly feel like mine is a continuation from where we left off, which is double marksman is a scary thing for us. It's that I don't honestly feel like we've in the past, in the closing weeks, call it 3 to 4 weeks, I don't feel like we've had a strong strategy.
Yeah.
And so I think at a high level, we need to bring a specific strategy. Because I think we've played a lot of default league, and it's not been as crisp as either our early default was standard, or some of our zany strats that we cooked up when people didn't know what to expect from us.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on strats. It's like, and I think those are two things that could be pretty exploitable when Jizuke has the Lucian he does. And it seems like they have some pretty well cooked stuff ready to go.
Yeah, that's the thing. We talked about earlier in the split how we looked like a team that was impossible to draft against because we had so many picks that you have to account for. And EG has a lot of those power picks among their players like that. Yep. So we brought up Thresh for Ignar, and like I said, I personally, Rakan is borderline for me too because his Rakan's nasty. We talked about Lucian for Jizuke. Chat is accurately pointing out Rise for Jizuke, Twisted Fate for Jizuke.
That's more champs than you get bans.
Yeah, there's probably like Contract Xinjiao is good enough that you have to be a little scared of that too. So
I mean, do you want to give him Diana and have us not on Diana? Like, there's a lot of challenge here, and we've come a long way from, like you said.
And that's a good way to phrase it, because it's like we are going to have to play these because we can't ban them all out. To keep them away from them, we're going to have to play these picks. You know what I mean? And so,
right.
Yeah, preparation for this one is going to be tough. In fact, I would say that it's probably draft wise. Right now, it looks to me like these are the hardest guys to play against. Draft wise, like they're the toughest team to draft against right now, being EG. So yeah, that's going to be a big thing. Something that I noticed in the Dignitas series is like you cannot take an extended fight with EG. If you stay long enough, it's going to turn. There's a point where, and it happened to Dignitas so many times where they start off a great play and then they don't have enough, but they can flash and chase or whatever. And they do, and then they're like walking, almost in skill shot range, and then the skill shot misses, right? And then guess what? Guess who's in the river? It's like, here's Ignar, or here's Contract. Like, it always turned on them. And the same thing happened to us during the regular season with these guys, too. So it's like, we always felt like we had enough, and then it would get turned on us. And I say, like, probably this split, we were some of the people that did that more than anybody else other than EG. Like EG is the only team that did this beyond us. C9 probably in contention for that also. So we're going to have to be really disciplined, in my opinion, on these things. And that's a bit of a worry for me because our guys want blood, right? Like think about our bot lane. No, back off. FBI is like Hoodie God, man. The Nexus is always forward. You just go for it. There's no retreat.
That's right.
So that worries me a little bit. The extended fights. If we get into those, I feel like I have nightmares of health bars that are so appetizing, and then the turn comes in, and then we get locked down by some CC, blown up, boom, 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 game's done. So. Worried about the drafting, worried about overextension on fights and discipline from how much we chase. Worried about the level of integration of Abadaga. So that brings us to my next point. The good news that we had a 2-week break to prepare for this, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you almost certainly there was very little preparation going the way of Dignitas. If Dignitas was to win that, they probably would just have taken the week to get ready for them specifically. I'm willing to bet, that they almost all the way just prepared for EG before this matchup played out, and now they have another week. Papa Smithy was in chat during our last podcast and pointed out that because they have the bye, they actually can fit enough scrims in where it's like 3 weeks of practice, instead of 2. So this is on paper, theoretically, a buff. The long break, the extra preparation, the careful planning. If you think about it from the angle of like what we looked like at the beginning of the split, where we had all that preparation time, it looked good, man.
Yeah.
It looked good. So hopefully this is a plus for us. Are there any cons, or do you just full agree with that? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm not into the like too much time camp.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fresh patch. I think it's more time on scrims on a fresh patch. Like that helps too.
They know not to pull out Kindred mid.
Don't try Kindred mid.
Draven's probably not going to work. Watch out for Cannon, right?
And you do have stage games to watch of EG too, which I always think is a plus. You get to see them in a best of series, not just the best of one. I think for me, it's the only thing that I'm actually concerned about is, I don't know. Let me think how I want to put this. For me, this is like one of the first big tests for Reapered, really, because it's, a lot of this split has been like over delivering. We were prepared for progress, and we spent most of the split talking about how we do at Worlds, right? Like we got ahead of ourselves because we were looking really good. So like this is a big test, and so I think it's probably more indicative of his ability to it's like what's the sophomore effort, like you had this grand start and everybody was super hyped, and are you a one-hit wonder, or do you come back with something that people feel like is as clever and as well thought through and devastating to the opponent as what we put the league to shame with for the first half of the split? So that's really what I think it comes down to. Like, I think this is exactly what you want if you're a coach.
Yeah.
And I think if you cannot take this time and put it to good use, that's actually, I'd say, a more concerning thing, right?
Yeah, and there's possibly, well, there is a stigma, whether it's justified or not, right? Of like, what does Reaper do in the playoffs? There, a lot of haters like to say that he doesn't deliver well in the playoffs, right? And that the counter is that, well, at Worlds it turns around, but you got to get to Worlds first. But on
that note, there's something else I thought about, which is playoff perks, right? So I think there are some of these things which just don't always hold, is what we've learned in week 1 of the 2021 summer playoffs. Like, you can look at old tape to try to get a sense for how people do in these kinds of situations, and it will tell you something, but it won't tell you everything. So yeah, there might be some validity to that, but it's not like that's all you need to look at to make an accurate prediction.
Yeah,
because if you did, then C9 would have been through.
Yes, and I personally, I'm happy to see the buy on this front, because again, just more preparation, more of a chance to look good. So yeah, I think all of this needs to be considered when we make our predictions, which we're going to do now. I think we know where the community comes down on this series, but what everyone wants to know is, what does Jordan think on this series?
No one wants to know that. They want to know what the prophesize.
Yes, there you go. Prophesize. Yeah.
I'll go first, as is customary. I mean, the matchup is close. We went through it lane by lane. You know me. I dislike going into these situations with a bad thing in my mind. And I'm not going to do it. I refuse to do it here. I think it's going to be a super close series. I think it'll be 3-2. I think this is actually a really good matchup on paper. Like, on paper, it's a close one. I think we take it. And I think we take it based in my confidence in Reaper to make use of this time, and in the fact that that we still do edge them out in certain key areas. That there's a lot of dependencies that I have in my head on this. Like, there are a lot of things that need to happen. And I wouldn't be shocked if EG does get the better of us, just because I think that they're pretty close to us.
What a hedge. What a hedge.
I'm hedging. Wasn't it Jat who said you should only ever predict 3-1s or 3-0s? Yeah, I always like that.
Yeah,
and I try to, but I really do think that it's going to be close. So here I'll just very quickly do this to make it less of a hedge. I think top lane could be a big problem for us with Impact. And Svenskeren is a question mark for me. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what to expect. I think if they play
I think it's going to be contracts. Yeah,
I think it's contracts, and I think we have the advantage there. So, and then I would say the last one is, well, gosh, I think you could do this at every position, we just spent a long time doing it, so I won't go back through it. But those would be the I guess that would be the biggest one, is top lane. Second one is, do we come with a strategy? That's it.
Yeah. Well, a true return to form for Jordan when it comes to predicting. The optimism wins out. The cautious optimism.
That's right.
And I got to tell you, chat, it's a return to form for me as well. What am I known for in my predictions? Jordan's the optimist, and
You're the
Cole
realist.
is always right. We're going to win. I'm calling the 3-2 victory as well. You and I, same thing. In fact, I was hoping that you would come down against us so that we didn't look like the ultra fanboy podcast, right? I realize that's difficult because we are a fan podcast. But we're, as Jordan said, we try to be very measured and realistic about this thing, and our bias is on full display. But I think the community is overrating EG. I think the community is underrating us. And EG has a lot of variance built into what can happen with how they play. And this is a 5-game series. And I think 5-game series is still going to favor us. I know we don't have the same confidence in the amount of looks that we have on our belt, right? But we do have a lot of preparation going into this. I think we've got more even mind across our players. I think, we're less tiltable, I guess is another way to say it. I think our bot lane is better overall. I think we're going to have a plan. I've got faith that there is a good plan here. It's going to depend on the draft, guys. There's just no way around it. It's going to depend on the draft, which sucks to say. That is not what you want to say.
Now, let me ask you for clarity on that.
Okay.
When you talk about the draft, I think the draft is a manifestation of the strategy.
Yes.
So is it the strategy you're talking about, or is it because that's one side of the draft? The other, there are probably more, but the other primary one is the actual picking and banning of champions.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's gamesmanship in the draft itself.
Yes.
So which do you see as the most important factor in the draft?
The strategy, actual picking and banning of the champions.
Okay.
All right. We have seen in our history picks that come through that we don't know why we picked them, picks that we let through that we don't know why we let through. That cannot happen in this series, all right? To me, that's what it's going to come down to. Do we do our job in the pick ban? Do we have a strategy to make sure that the power picks that are going to tilt things in their favor, that they often get because they have a lot of things that they can play, do we have strategy to accommodate that? And I think I like our staff. I think our staff is smart. And I think with the extra preparation time, we're going to be able to do this. All right. And so there's one more factor that we haven't mentioned that goes in our favor, right? And that's that if we lose, we're not out. So there's a pressure release valve here to free up the team a little bit. Now, it's not great. It's not looking great down the line. Our path to playoffs is not a comfortable one,
Path to Worlds, you mean? Yeah.
Well, path through playoffs, but yeah, path to Worlds, playoffs. Sure. If we drop this one, it's very likely we get C9, right? If we win this one, it's Worlds, right? Don't we lock in Worlds if we win this one series?
Yep.
I believe that's true.
That's it.
Yeah, I think we're actually going to do this. I think we're overly pessimistic as a fan base right now, and I think the community is overly optimistic on EG. And the golden rule that I keep pointing out, it is so hard to be really good for a long time. Everybody falls off, and EG's time has come. So, Prophet Cole is locking in the 3-2 win for 100 Thieves prediction in this series. And it's going to be a banger.
Yeah, it's I agree. I think and I hope that it'll be a banger, right? It's not that often that the two of us make the exact same pick. So
I know.
I guess.
Like I said, I was hoping to be different.
But I'm going to take it as a sign, Cole, that this is preordained. It must happen. We're going to Worlds, baby. It's
time. Our time has come. All right. So there you have it, guys. Don't say I never did anything to bless the fandom. Because Prophet Cole just did it. Man, we went way longer than I anticipated for this. So let's do a couple things quickly. We talked about our path in playoffs. I just want to make one more note on that because I said if we lose this one, we play C9. That's like worst case scenario for us, right? The way it shook out is EG C9. Like TL seems to find form recently, which cool for them. I don't know. I just don't feel like they have it against us for whatever reason. It's a matchup thing. It's a feel thing. So there's that. And then C9 unexpectedly drops that match. And so C9's like the other team I wouldn't want to really see, in the playoffs. So it's just not shaking out super well for us as far as chances go. But hey, you know what they always say, you got to beat the good teams. There's no way around it. To get to Worlds, you got to beat the good teams. And this is the time to do it, man. This is the time to do it. Let's talk all LCS really quick while we have a brief moment before we do listener takes.
Yep.
How pleased or displeased were you seeing this come through?
I think probably bummed is the word, and not because I feel like we were like majorly slighted. I think that this is how this goes when you end the split as we did. And I feel like there was a game specifically where you said, and Closer just lost MVP.
Yep.
I mean,
Speaker just won it. Yep.
That is how, that's how these decisions get made.
Yeah.
And whether it's right or wrong, that's how it happens. And I think in the big picture, it probably is right. Like it would feel really weird to give, like, I think you in these kinds of awards, you always wait the end of the season because that's when you give the award. So
which kind of is weird, right? Because it's a totality of the split award. And so that makes things kind of tough to stomach the way it shook out. I'll say the one most underreported thing, I don't think I've seen a single mention of this, but the first team All-Pro has players from all different teams.
I did see one.
You saw somebody mention that? I had not seen anyone mention that.
Yeah.
That
it probably wasn't mentioned enough because it's and I think what I saw is it's the first time it's happened since like summer 2015 or something.
Yeah, that is crazy and that's awesome. Yeah. Because we're used to it's all Cloud9 or it's all Team Liquid. You know what I mean? Like
it was about to be all us.
It was if we have a different final 3 weeks of the season, it was probably going to be 400 Thieves and then one top laner, right? Fudge probably. Oh gosh, and I'm looking at the picture right now and I want to punch it. Punchable NA ratings coming in the off season, guys. Most
first
punchable
team
NA.
all punchable.
First team all punchable. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do that. Okay. So FBI gets the bot lane victory, and it's not close, right? He has 122 points. Second place is 58 points. So that was like a landslide victory for him, despite one individual not having him in the top 3. Now, what justification could there be for not having FBI as a top 3 bot laner in the LCS? Name me 3 people, 3 bot laners, 3 ADCs who are better than FBI. Can't think of any? Well, maybe you should DM our old friend Gyoto, who somehow submitted a ballot without FBI's name on it.
He misread he got the wrong. He was looking at the wrong row. It happens.
The fire alarm went off right when he was filling off his ballot, man. It's hard to concentrate.
I get it. He was doing the thing where you look up someone's email address by typing their name into the box, and he did it for the first 3 in the ADC category and forgot to delete them. It happens.
There is just no way. That guy took it real personal this season, man. He took it real personal, man. Last time he came up, I was like, yeah, like he actually in his interviews is like, he's cool, he's chill, whatever. Yeah. But that was outrageous, man. Not having FBI as any, if you don't have him top 1, it's already questionable. But if you don't have him top 3, you are out of your mind.
They should be. It's like whoever puts this together, they're like, do we have something written in here where we can revoke? Like, is there a
they need to, like, he's not sound of mind, so he cannot have a vote. Please give it to Charlie over there at Immortals, because he will do the right thing. Anyway, can't cry over that so much, especially because FBI won it, because everybody else came to their senses. I think we saw the Speaker thing coming. I think we saw Fudge coming. Mid lane, weird, right?
Danny Tactical Sven. That must have been it. Danny Tactical Sven.
Yeah,
even though Sven didn't play the whole split.
And Tactical is surely better than FBI, right, guys? That holds water. Okay.
Anyway,
mid lane was weird, man. Mid lane was it was a weird year for mid lane in the LCS.
It really was. Yeah.
I honestly I'm not sure I'd put Jizuke first, but I know I wouldn't put Abadaga first either, because of how the second half of the split went. And me and Power of Evil, I'm not sure about that, but Jensen had a weird year. But it's like, where did Perks finish? I don't know. It's a weird, mid lane was weird.
That's if you could have, I don't know what odds you could have given me that would make me feel comfortable betting that Perks finishes outside the top 3.
Yeah.
That's like the start of the split.
Kevin from The Office, 10,000 to 1 bets.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. That's weird.
And then Core JJ getting it over Huhi. This is where, I said in the tweet when we were talking about what we were talking about, I said snubs or dubs for this. To me, this feels like a snub. I mentioned it earlier. So Core got 67 points and Huhi got 61. So ultra close.
Yep.
This is how like at the Oscars every year there's an old man who was in a movie that wasn't really good. He didn't do that good of a job, but he hasn't gotten the Oscar yet, so they need to give it to him. That's kind of how this felt like, even though Core JJ has the name recognition. It's like, I don't know, like, we're giving him a totality of his career award here. It's not like he's bad, right?
No.
But I can't in good conscience put him
what we
as
said
my number
about
one pick.
No. I'm with you. And what we said about the way these, like, the recency on this goes, Ignar is not on here. And I would say he had a great, like, they were super hot.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even get a note because, yeah.
And that's how you know it's a recency thing too, because Vulcan's in there, right? It's like Vulcan came on the last 2, maybe 3 weeks of the split. And it's like, oh yeah, Vulcan, man, it's Vulcan again. Like, that's where that came from.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's deserved either. Yeah. And no hate against him. He's good. You know what I mean? I think support in NA has actually, like, been really good.
Yeah.
You
like Sword Art not on this list anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. It is weird, but it should have gone to Huhi. So this is a snub in my mind, but it is nice to see 3 of our guys on the second team. Huhi there, of course. Closer there. Did we point out the gap between Speaker and Closer was 45 points. So it wasn't close there. And then mid lane, Abadaga. Abadaga only finished 2 points behind Jizuke for first team.
Wow.
So Abadaga was really, really close to first team. Again, I do think I love this guy. I want him, I'm not sure the performance of the totality of the split genuinely deserved that. But I'm happy that it played out that way, because I like him and I want to win the award. So yeah. Impact as the top laner and second team, and Danny as the ADC. Okay, cool. And third team, I mean, we don't really need to even talk about it because 100T's wasn't involved, but Huni Blabber, Power of Evil, Tactical, Vulcan are We Don't Get It guys on the third team. They're Huni and Power of Evil. But yeah, so I don't know. There were good things here and there are some bad things too. So overall, it wasn't that bad, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Feels mostly right.
So let's go to listener takes and take this thing home.
All right,
we're only gonna do 5 of them. All right, so we won't go forever, but we will do this now. Dargor, our old friend Dargor, says, after seeing how the bracket played out, my take is 100 Thieves do not make it to Worlds. Dargor predicts they lose to EG and then end up losing to C9 in lower bracket for the last Worlds spot. So we kind of already stated our feelings on this, but I don't think we directly answered. So if we fall against EG and play C9, what outcome are you expecting?
I mean, I said when you asked this, and clearly I haven't forgotten it, I said that I would pick C9 over the others if we had to play, if we got to pick.
Which I thought was very bold, but it looked like you were right.
Well, or we still match up badly against them and TL matches up better against them. That's possible too. I think if we play C9, I don't know, man. Perks is just looking very human. I think we could win that series. That feels like a winnable series to me. So I'd probably, on this snap take, I'd just say I'm an optimist. We're going to win that series.
Yeah.
Even though I think it would be like tougher than the Liquid series made it seem.
If I'm doing evidence-based reasoning, I have to agree with you, right?
Yeah.
I can't explain why C9 is not looking like any better than they are. Like, I'm shocked that they lost to TL.
Yeah. In the fashion that they did too was not particularly close.
And I'm especially shocked about Perks, who I still think if he's going to be at his best, he's the best player in NA. I don't know why he hasn't gotten control of things, but as Amax points out in chat, we do actually, it's not if we beat them. Say if we fall into that position in losers bracket and win that series, we still need to win one more series to get the final world spot. So it's not like just that series that it depends on, but if I'm being evidence-based, I gotta say, yeah, I think we would win against C9. We'll see how this weekend goes then, because if we bomb out and look bad, then, evidence-based again, you have to make an adjustment there. But my gut is like, I don't want to play C9.
Yep.
So
I get it.
Daddy Titan says, despite everyone saying EG is the best team in the league, I feel we lucked out because we get them in a best of 5. EG has a very simplistic style that they are very good at, and we can take advantage of. Just Daddy Titan, he put this next bit in here for my selection bias to make sure I read his take on the podcast. He says, Jizuke is currently playing a better form of Demonte from early spring with roaming mids like Rise and Twisted Fate. Oh man, I love that so much. Comparing him to Demonte,
he does better as well. But yeah.
But actually, do you remember I made that exact point? I was like, Jizuke is a better Demonte, right? Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah.
So Daddy Titan, shout out to Daddy Titan. He says, let's ban those away and make them play our style of game. Maybe not a bad strategy. I don't think I have much to say to that other than hilarious about the Demonte line. And I mean, seems at least that would win a game, maybe, Yeah.
My concern with it is, you always have to think about the permaban list. What's on the permaban list? What can't you let through because it's too busted? And chances are it's not specifically the champions that enable them to play that strategy well.
Yeah.
So
good point. Our friend Curly with Flight Check Crew, of course, being the FlyQuest version of us, right? The fan podcast dedicated to FlyQuest coverage and who do a much better job than us of covering Academy, which I'll point out and admit. So go follow them if you are looking for more coverage at Flight Check Crew on Twitch and Twitter, and we love them dearly. He asks a simple question. Will someday be able to handle impact? We litigated it a bit in our thing, but we said it's an edge for impact.
Yeah. Can he handle him is a different question, though.
And that's the thing. So if we feel like our best someday is supportive someday, less, more so than carry someday, and impact plays traditional impact, then they just supportive out each other, right? So handle, if you think of handle as like contain, like don't let him beast out, then I think, yeah. But the problem is, I think there's a neutralization there that goes both ways. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, we can't use someday for much, so if it just depends on how you define handle for me. Containment, sure. I think he can do that. But we'll see.
Yeah. It's setting the bar lower. So can he handle him? Not can he beat him? I picked us, so I'm going to say yes because I think it's contingent on him handling him.
Oh yeah, good call. Good call.
Yeah,
And I'll mention again, Fake God solo killed him. Love to see it. Someday we'll get one.
boom.
Mark my words. First time writer Anton Verheyen. I hope I'm saying your name right. Anton Verheyen says, "Will contracts outperform closer? What would that sort of performance mean for the LCS management, seeing as he was performing similarly before closer was picked up? Does anything invalidate that, such as closer's chemistry and the package deal?" All right. So I think this is like, look, we're dealing with our ex here.
Yep.
In contracts, who earned his way back into the LCS and who did pretty well. He had some missteps, but it's kind of, it's like right now he's playing like, the best version of himself where, he has pop off carry games and then some games are bad. But the question is, will contracts outperform him?
Again, I don't think so. What would it mean for LCS management? I mean, he's one of those players where there was clearly a decision to be made. We had to think about, is it him or is it Kenvi? Is that our potential future, jungler? And they made the decision they made, and Contracts is on EG now. I really like Contracts record. I think he's a great player. I think, likable dude. So I'm glad to see him back in the LCS. I'm glad to see him getting reps and doing well. I hope he doesn't do well against us. But that's, I don't think he will. And I think if he does, again, I would kind of go back to, I wouldn't pin it specifically a closer to say you are a worse version of Contracts and made a bad call there. I would put it more to the high level strategy. How do we use closer more effectively than we are? Because I think closer has shown that he can be a more effective version of Contracts in a lot of situations,
or at least a more consistent one.
Yeah,
that's how I feel. I feel like consistency gives closer an edge over Contracts, and I think that we're asking about the chemistry thing, right? And like the package deal thing, where it seems like closer was part of this package deal, that we did with Golden Guardians, where it's basically like, give us FBI and we'll do whatever else you want. And the players seem to like each other too. So when that happened, cool. But I do think I personally rate him as a more consistent Contracts, and more consistently able to carry with less lows, right? And the lows are not as low as Contracts. And I think more importantly, that's what 100T's rated him as well. So if Contracts just pops off against closer, I don't think anyone's like crying any tears or whatever. So I don't think it's going to mean much for the management. And I don't think it's necessarily going to prove anything either. I don't think like this one series is going to prove it. Especially, here's another, theory / rule that I often have and point to that it's just based on gut, but it's what seems to happen. Is that when players rotate in, they do well for a bit and then fall. Right? And Contracts, he's on a recently rotated in rotation. So you need a bigger body of work to really see how it went. And then final point of the night, or final take of the night, question of the night from Glenn Taylor, who asked, how flexible do you feel drafts will be? And he says, will it be closer, carry, or bust? The team is so theoretically flexible, so I don't want to see one-dimensional or predictable drafts unless it's clear there's no need to show anything. So the question is, how flexible of drafts do we think we're going to get?
Right.
And is it going to be all dependent on closer?
I don't think it's all dependent on closer. I think it's I picked us, so I'm going to say that I think it'll be flexible enough, because I think if we do show up and just try to go standard every game very predictably, we'll be punished in draft and we'll lose the series. I think it's a stake. I think that is the potential consequence of that. So if we hope to win, which I hope to win, we're gonna have to bring some different looks. I don't think it pivots on closer. I think there's a lot of other things that are question marks for me.
I'm more come down and I think if closer does well, we do well, Like I said, my
maybe I
mea culpa at the
misunderstood
beginning
that
of that, where it's like, I do think closer's the best barometer of how we're going to do. But yeah, I'm not.
I was answering that more towards in draft. Is it dependent on us getting closer the right things? Like, I think there are a lot of other things that need to go right in draft so that closer can carry.
Yeah. And I think that's fair, but yeah, I'm not sure it depends all on closer carrying, but I like I said, I feel like Abadaga is going to be the ultimate thing here. Mm-hmm. But I do think our success is pretty closely tied with closer. I will say that. I don't think we're going to see crazy drafts. I'm hoping what we get is just thought out drafts. I don't was like, oh my goodness, he's playing Garen mid lane. I like, that's not what I'm thinking is going to happen. I think that they're going to have a strategy for how do we deal with this? How do we either ban away or play that, that's what I'm hoping for. So one final note, I want to shout out AJ Beck, who has provided us with weekly updates on the caster records, which is not an easy thing to do. No. And he puts them in our Discord and gives them both the pairing records and the individual records. So just a couple quick notes from there. Strictly speaking, percentage-wise, if Raz is casting this thing, we're toast. All right? Raz for EG is 2-0.
Ooh.
And he is 0-2 for us. So Raz is the swing here. So everybody tweet Raz and say, please don't cast us this weekend.
Right.
If we are looking strictly on who's like the best for us and worse for them, that is probably going to be Azale. So looking at the stats here, which you can find in our Discord, Azale is 9-3 casting our games. And for them, he's only 6-5. And I think that's the biggest percentage swing between them. Freak is right down the middle for us. And everybody's favorite, Captain Flowers. Captain Flowers is 6-3 for us and 6-1 for them. And then nothing really jumps out pairing wise when you look at that. But I do want to shout out AJ Beck for always coming through with these.
Absolutely.
So it looks like Raz, and you know what? Both of the Raz games for both teams were co-casted with Captain Flowers, by the way. So Captain Flowers, Raz 2-0 for them, 0-2 for us. So I love Captain Flowers. We got Mama Flowers in the chat. Just no Raz.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because Raz is also one of my favorites. I really like Raz.
Just unlucky.
But unlucky. Yeah, shout out, of course, to AJ Beck for keeping track of that. All right. Well, that was, like I said, much longer than anticipated. But you got it. You had it here straight from the horse's mouth that 100T's is going to take this one. It's going to be a battle. And it's going to be how we qualify for Worlds 2021. Against all odds. Chips on your shoulder, boys. Let's go. All right. Well, we'll do Rec League on Thursday. It'll be a jolly good time. And we will see you in our Discord. Here's the Discord link for chat in case you guys need that. Follow us on Twitter, of course. Twitter is where we'll tweet out the sign-up forms for Discord for Rec League, by the way. So, yeah. As always, thank you for being with us. We love you, and we miss you.